In the heart of Belfast, every single December, a tradition unfolds that's just so unique to the city. It's a story about charity, community, and a figure who's become this amazing symbol of Christmas generosity for almost half a century. So what's it all about?
Yeah, for nearly 50 years, a person known as the Black Santa has taken up his post on the steps of St. Anne's Cathedral. But who is he really, and how in the world did this whole tradition even start? Well, to get to the bottom of it, we first have to understand the place he calls home.
So first up, the heart of the city. To really get the Black Santa, we've got to explore his surroundings, Belfast Cathedral Quarter. It's this incredible, vibrant cultural hub where the tradition comes to life every year.
Now, this area wasn't always the creative hotspots you see today. Not at all. It used to be the city's trade and warehousing district, from the big boom in linen and shipbuilding. But now, it's been totally reborn as a cultural quarter. It's just buzzing with arts festivals, galleries, theaters, the whole 9 yards. And right at its very center, giving the whole area its name, is St. Anne's Cathedral.
Okay, so that brings us to our second stop, the cathedral itself. Let's zoom in from the quarter to this landmark at its heart. Because St. Anne's is so much more than just a pretty building. It has this long, really fascinating story built right into its very stones.
I mean, this cathedral was a true work in progress. It took nearly 80 years to build. It all kicked off in 1899, and they actually built it around the smaller original church. The main nave opened in 1904, but work just kept on going through the 20s and 30s, and then again from 59 all the way to 81. And get this, the structure was only really finally completed in 2007 with that modern spire.
So you might be wondering, why the super modern spire on such an old building? Well, the answer is literally right under its feet. The whole cathedral stands on this bed of soft clay and mud they call Belfast sleech. This ground is so unstable it meant a traditional heavy stone tower was just impossible. It would have literally sunk. So the solution was this lightweight stainless steel spire of hope, a really cool, modern answer to an ancient geological problem.
But the cathedral's story, it's also layered with the more complicated history. As one observer put it, the building has a very, very visible connection to conflict, with all sorts of regimental flags and war memorials inside. It's a part of the cathedral that really reflects its deep, deep roots in the history of the province.
And this connection to history is really embodied by one person in particular. The only person buried in the entire cathedral is Lord Edward Carson. Carson was a hugely important figure in the Unionist movement that opposed Home Rule for Ireland. He was given a state funeral and buried here thanks to a special act of Parliament, which makes his tomb a major, and for many people, a pretty divisive feature of St. Anne's.
So that brings us to part 3. Who is the Black Santa? Because against this backdrop of really complex history, a completely different kind of story started to unfold. A warm, human tradition of giving, born right there on the cathedral's front steps. The whole thing started back in 1976 with a guy named Dean Sammy Crooks. He decided he was just going to sit on the steps to raise money for charity. Simple as that. And the local press, seeing him in his long black Anglican clerical robes, gave him a nickname, Belfast's Black Santa. Now, the name had absolutely nothing to do with race. It was only about the color of his traditional robes, and it just stuck immediately.
So how does this sit-out actually work? Well, the process is beautifully simple. From December 15th right up to Christmas Eve, the dean sits outside collecting donations from the public. And every single penny of that money is then carefully distributed to dozens of small, local charities that are doing amazing work in their communities.
And the generosity of the public is it's truly incredible. In the most recent appeal, the Black Santa raised a staggering £121,000.
And here's what's so powerful about this. It's where the money goes. It was shared among 107 smaller, local charities. We're talking about the kind of organizations that do incredible on-the-ground work, but just don't have their own professional fundraising teams. This appeal is an absolute lifeline for them.
And that brings us right up to today, to the legacy of giving. This is the 49th year of this incredible tradition, and it just continues to evolve and focus its energy where it's needed the most.
So in addition to supporting a really wide range of causes, each year the appeal puts a special focus on a particular area. For 2025, that focuses on giving vital support to charities that work with people diagnosed with motor neuron disease, multiple sclerosis, and children living with arthritis. These are all life-changing conditions where community support is just absolutely essential.
The current dean, Stephen Forday, is the one carrying the tradition forward today. And as he says, he knows the people of Belfast and far beyond will once again take the appeal to their hearts.
It's really a statement of faith, not just in the tradition itself, but in the incredible spirit of the community.
So we're left with this really amazing question, aren't we? In a city with such a complex past, on the steps of a cathedral that was literally built on shifting ground, how does one person in simple black robes become this enduring symbol of hope, unity, and pure generosity for an entire city?